Have you ever asked yourself or someone you care about, is there a way to stay strong, independent, and active well into your 80s or even 90s? If so, you're not alone. It's a question I've heard hundreds of times over the years in my clinic. And honestly, it's one of the most important questions we should be asking as we age. Because here's the truth. Getting older doesn't automatically mean becoming weak, fragile, or dependent. But for many older adults, that's exactly what starts to happen quietly, gradually, and often without warning. One small stumble turns into a fall. One fall turns into a fear of moving. And before long, the simple things like walking, cooking, or taking care of yourself start feeling out of reach. It's a heartbreaking cycle, and yet it's more common than most people realize. And this is where I want to shift the conversation, because the real issue isn't just falling. It's what leads up to the fall in the first place. As a physician who has spent decades studying aging and functional health, I can tell you that one of the most overlooked, yet critical factors in age-related decline is something incredibly simple: low vitamin D. Now, most people associate vitamin D with bone health, and that's true, but its role is so much more powerful than that. It affects muscle strength, balance, coordination, immune function, and even mental clarity. In fact, I've seen patients regain stability, energy, and confidence all from correcting a long-standing deficiency they didn't even know they had. The problem is, vitamin D is rarely talked about until there's already a problem. It's not something most doctors screen for routinely. And most older adults assume that if they're outside once in a while, they're getting enough. But that's often not the case. So in this video, we're going to dive deep not just into why vitamin D matters, but how you can safely and effectively make sure your levels are right where they need to be. Because the truth is, a small, simple change today could mean years of strength, balance, and freedom down the road. If you care about healthy aging for yourself or someone you love, this is the kind of information you'll want to hold on to. And hey, if this kind of content resonates with you, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here at Healthy Senior Now, we're dedicated to bringing you real, science-based strategies to help you stay strong, sharp, and independent as you age. You deserve nothing less. 1. The reality of falls. Here's a fact that surprises many people. 1 in 4 adults over the age of 65 falls every year. That's from the CDC, so we're not talking about rare cases here. It's incredibly common. But just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal. And no, falling isn't just part of getting old. It's a warning sinus signal from the body that something needs attention. When we look deeper, the cause usually comes down to 3 main things: weaker muscles, especially in the legs, poor balance or coordination, and lower bone strength from aging bones. These changes often happen slowly, quietly. You don't notice them right away. One day you're walking upstairs without thinking. The next you're grabbing the handrail a little tighter. Then you start avoiding the stairs altogether. And that's where the real problem begins. Because after a fall, or even just the fear of falling, many older adults start moving less. They avoid going for walks, doing chores, or participating in things they once enjoyed. That leads to more muscle loss, more stiffness, and even more imbalance. It becomes a cycle, and it can happen faster than you think. What many people don't realize is that this isn't just about personal safety, it affects the whole family too. Falls can lead to long hospital stays, long-term care, and a lot of stress for loved ones. And let's not forget, the average cost of a fall-related injury in older adults in the U.S. is in the tens of thousands of dollars, according to national health data. But here's the good news. Most falls can be prevented. Yes, really. Once we understand the root causes like muscle weakness and poor balance, we can do something about them. Through the right nutrition, movement, and daily habits, it's absolutely possible to stay steady, strong, and active. And that's exactly what this video is here to help you with. 2. Vitamin D. If there's one nutrient that quietly does 1,000 things for your health but rarely gets the spotlight, it's vitamin D. You might already know it's good for your bones. But if you're over 60, The truth is, vitamin D could be the key to staying strong, balanced, and independent for years to come. Let's start with the basics. There are two main forms of vitamin D, D2 and D3. Vitamin D2 usually comes from plant-based sources or fortified foods. Vitamin D3, on the other hand, is what your body naturally produces when your skin is exposed to sunlight, and it's also the form that's most effective when taken as a supplement. The thing is, as we age, our skin becomes less efficient at producing vitamin D from sunlight. So even if you spend time outdoors, your body might not be converting it into the levels you need. That's why so many older adults end up with low vitamin D even if they feel fine. But what does that really mean? Vitamin D plays a direct role in calcium absorption, which helps maintain bone density and reduce the risk of fractures. That's a big deal, especially when we're talking about hip bones, spines, and other areas most affected by age. But it doesn't stop at bones. Recent studies have shown that vitamin D is deeply connected to muscle function too. When your levels are low, muscles don't contract as well. You may feel weaker, more tired, or just a little less steady on your feet sometimes without realizing why. And here's where it gets more serious. Without enough vitamin D, the body becomes more prone to sarcopenia, gradual loss of muscle mass that can lead to difficulty walking, climbing stairs, or even standing up from a chair. It's one of the main contributors to falls in older adults and often goes undiagnosed until it's already affecting mobility. What's more, vitamin D also supports neuromuscular coordination, which means it helps your brain and muscles communicate effectively. That matters a lot when it comes to balance. One quick misstep on uneven ground, and if your reflexes are just a bit off, a fall becomes much more likely. So when people ask, why is vitamin D so important as I age? The answer is simple. It helps keep you on your feet, on the move, and in control of your life. 3. The real-life benefits of vitamin D for older adults. Most people think of vitamin D as the bone vitamin. And while that's true, it plays a big role in helping your body absorb calcium. It's really just one piece of a much larger story. Especially for older adults, the benefits of vitamin D go far beyond just stronger bones. In fact, studies published in major medical journals like JAMA, the New England Journal of Medicine, and the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology have shown that vitamin D can have a profound impact on strength, balance, and overall mobility as we age. Let's start with something that affects nearly every older adult at some point: balance. Research shows that getting enough vitamin D can reduce the risk of falling by as much as 23 to 31%. That might not sound dramatic at first, but if you've ever known someone who fell and struggled to recover, you know how much that kind of prevention matters. It could mean staying on your feet, continuing to live independently, and avoiding that slow decline that sometimes follows even one fall. And there's more. Vitamin D also plays a major role in muscle strength. It affects how muscles contract, how quickly they recover, and how efficiently they work. In one long-term study, older adults who took vitamin D consistently saw up to a 35% improvement in muscle strength. Not in a gym, not with a personal trainer, just from meeting their body's basic nutritional needs. That kind of boost can translate to very real improvements in daily life, being able to get up from a chair more easily, walk up a hill without stopping, or simply feel steadier on your feet. Another powerful benefit: protecting your bones, particularly your hips. Hip fractures are one of the most serious injuries in older adults. Recovery can take months, and the physical and emotional toll is enormous. But research shows that with regular vitamin D supplementation, the risk of a hip fracture can be reduced by nearly 40%. That's not just a statistic. That's freedom, preserved. And if that weren't enough, vitamin D also supports your immune system. It helps the body fight off infections, reduces inflammation, and speeds up the healing process when you've got a cut or bruise. A deficiency, on the other hand, can mean slower recovery times and a greater chance of catching colds or other illness, especially during the winter months when natural sunlight is harder to come by. All of these benefits aren't just theoretical. They've been measured in real people, in real-world studies with consistent results. What's especially encouraging is that the improvements don't take years to show up. Many people start noticing differences: more energy, fewer aches, better stability in just a matter of weeks or months. When you look at the big picture, vitamin D isn't just about bones. It's about quality of life, strength, confidence, independence, and the best part? It's one of the easiest, most affordable steps you can take to support your health as you age. And that's something every one of us deserves. 4. Signs to watch for. Sometimes your body gives you quiet signals that something's off, and one of those things could be a vitamin D deficiency. If you've been feeling muscle weakness, especially in your legs, or notice that you're a little less steady on your feet, it might not just be aging. You might also feel aching in your lower back, knees, or hips, even without doing much. Another clue? Wounds that take longer to heal than usual, or leg cramps at night that wake you up. These are all subtle signs that your body may not be getting enough vitamin D. If you're noticing any of these symptoms, don't ignore them. It's a good idea to see your doctor and ask for a simple blood test to check your vitamin D levels. The sooner you know, the sooner you can take action and feel stronger, steadier, and more like yourself again. 5. Health monitoring. You can eat right, stay active, even get some sunshine. But the truth is, you'll never really know your vitamin D levels unless you get them tested. That's because the signs of vitamin D deficiency can be subtle, like low energy, weak legs, or poor balance, and they often get confused with just getting older. So if you're feeling off, the best way to know what's going on is through a simple blood test called 25-hydroxyvitamin D, or 25-OHD for short. This test measures the amount of vitamin D circulating in your bloodstream, and here's what to look for in the results. Most experts agree that levels above 30 nanograms per milliliter (nang-ml) are considered sufficient. Some guidelines, especially for older adults or those with chronic health issues, suggest aiming a little higher, closer to 40 or even 50 nang-ml for optimal strength and immunity. Now, who should actually get tested? If you're over 65, have limited sun exposure, spend most of your time indoors, or have darker skin, you're automatically in a higher risk group. People living with chronic conditions like osteoporosis, kidney disease, diabetes, or autoimmune disorders should also pay close attention. In fact, if you're taking medications like corticosteroids or seizure drugs, they can interfere with how your body processes vitamin D too. So if any of that applies to you, or if you're already noticing signs like fatigue, leg weakness, or more frequent illness, it's smart to talk to your doctor about checking your levels. And once you've tested, don't just leave it there. Vitamin D should be monitored over time, especially if you start taking supplements. For those with a known deficiency, rechecking every 3-6 months is a good rule of thumb. For others, once or twice a year might be enough to stay on track. Because, in the end, this isn't just about a number, it's about making sure your body has what it needs to stay strong, balanced, and resilient. 6. How to supplement vitamin D. Now, let's say you found out your vitamin D levels are lower. Maybe you're just trying to stay ahead of the curve. Either way, you're probably wondering, what's the best way to bring those levels up safely and effectively? The good news is, there are several options. And when done right, vitamin D supplementation can be simple, affordable, and incredibly powerful. Let's start with the most natural source: sunlight. When your skin is exposed to UVB rays, it produces vitamin D on its own. Ideally, you want to get about 20 to 30 minutes of sunlight, 3 to 4 times a week, with your arms and legs uncovered, no sunscreen during that short time. The best window for this is usually between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., when the sun is strongest. But here's the thing. As we age, our skin becomes less efficient at making vitamin D. People with darker skin tones or those who live in cloudy northern climates are also at a disadvantage. If that sounds like you, consider using a UVB light therapy lamp, especially during the winter months. These are safe, doctor-approved tools that can help mimic natural sun exposure indoors. Now, let's talk about food. While diet alone may not give you all the vitamin D you need, it's still an important part of the picture. You'll want to focus on fatty fish like salmon, sardines, and tuna, which are among the richest natural sources. Just 3.5 ounces of salmon can give you about 570 IU of vitamin D. That's a solid boost in one meal. Egg yolks, fortified dairy products like milk, yogurt, and cheese, and even mushrooms, especially those exposed to sunlight, can all contribute to your daily intake. Keep in mind, though, most foods only contain small to moderate amounts, so they're best used to support, not replace, other strategies. Which brings us to supplements. If you're serious about restoring your levels, this is where you'll likely see the biggest impact. Look for vitamin D3, or cholecalciferol. It's the form your body absorbs and uses best, far more effective than vitamin D2. So how much should you take? For most adults between 50 and 70 years old, 600 IU per day is recommended. For those over 70, you'll likely need 800 to 2,000 IU daily, depending on your blood test results and risk factors. Always take your supplement with a meal that includes healthy fats, like avocado, olive oil, or nuts. Because vitamin D is fat-soluble, it needs dietary fat to be absorbed properly. But we can't stop there. To get the full benefit from your vitamin D, your body also needs magnesium. That's right, without enough magnesium, vitamin D remains inactive. It can't do its job of helping you absorb calcium, support your muscles, or regulate your immune function. Foods rich in magnesium include leafy greens like spinach and kale, pumpkin seeds, almonds, and whole grains like brown rice or oats. And in some cases, especially if your diet is lacking, a magnesium supplement may be a smart addition. You'll want to speak with your doctor first to make sure it's right for you. Think of it this way. Vitamin D is like the key, but magnesium is what turns the key in the lock. Without it, you might be taking supplements faithfully and still not getting the full benefit. So let's take a moment to step back and look at what we've learned. Vitamin D isn't just a nice to have for older adults. It can be a game changer. It's one of the most underestimated yet powerful tools we have to support strength, stability, and independence in later life. We've seen how a simple deficiency can quietly lead to weaker muscles, more falls, and a loss of confidence. But we've also seen how restoring those levels through sunlight, food, supplements, and proper support can help rebuild strength, improve balance, reduce fractures, and even boost energy and mood. And the best part? It doesn't take a massive lifestyle overhaul. Just a few smart, consistent changes checked with your doctor, monitored over time, and personalized to your needs can make a noticeable difference. It's worth remembering. Aging is natural, but losing your independence doesn't have to be. You have more control than you might think, and vitamin D is one of those quiet helpers working behind the scenes if you let it. If you're over 60 or love someone who isn't wait for symptoms to show up before taking action, get your vitamin D levels checked. Make sun exposure a healthy habit. Look at your diet. Talk to your doctor about the right kind of supplements, and remember the importance of magnesium too. Because the goal here isn't just to live longer, it's to live better, to feel strong in your own body, to move with confidence, to stay connected to the things you love doing and the people you love doing them with. At the end of the day, what we're really talking about isn't just a vitamin. It's about preserving your freedom, your mobility, your dignity. And if that sounds like something worth fighting for, you're absolutely right. If you found this helpful, I'd love for you to subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with someone who might benefit. Here at Healthy Senior Now, we're building a community of older adults and caregivers who want real, science-backed strategies to age with strength and purpose. Thanks for spending time with me today. Your health is worth it, and I'm glad you're here.